Today I'm looking at the GoPro Hero 9 photography mode. I'm going to check out the GoPro Hero 9 Black photography modes here from RAW right up to GoPro's Superphoto. I'm going to be figuring out along with you whether or not the GoPro Hero 9 Black and its 20 megapixel sensor is actually going to take better photos than your phone. My name is Vic Barry, and for techniques, tips and thoughts on all things video and filmmaking, please consider hitting subscribe, especially if you find this video useful. The GoPro Hero 9 Black has got a bunch of photo modes. For this video, we're going to be predominantly looking at the main photography aspect of the GoPro Hero 9 Black. Now, the quickest way to get going is to use one of the existing presets. These are quick and easy to get you going, and you can easily edit one of the presets to suit your liking. For this video, in fact, I've edited some of the shortcuts that appear on screen to make life that little bit easier when I want to make a change. Right, let's go take some photos, then we're going to take a look at these and the editing process with them, and then we're going to do a side-by-side comparison between the GoPro Hero 9 Black and the iPhone 11 Pro. So that's a bunch of photos that I've shot. I've got some more on the way in a minute, which have been really pushed within an inch of their life. But speaking of pushing these photos around, I edit all of these in Adobe Lightroom. And while you can't push them too far, the GoPro Hero 9 Black photos are surprisingly flexible. That said, the color does hold up, but again, you can push it a little bit and then you're going to start seeing a lot of noise. Now, you can fix that in post. In Adobe Lightroom, you can just denoise the whole thing, and that's kind of fine, but it's an extra step that you have to take, and you also kind of run the risk of making the photo look too soft. But if you're careful with it, you can do a pretty okay job of denoising. One thing to keep in mind, and maybe this is an update for Lightroom, but if you shoot GPR, the GoPro Raw format, Adobe Lightroom automatically knows it's a GoPro photo, so you'll have that color profile selected automatically. If you're shooting in JPEG or Superphoto or HDR, doesn't matter, it's just going to give you whatever profile, maybe the standard color profile. To be honest, I didn't see a lot of difference between all of these, but maybe you and your taste might be a little bit different to mine, but yeah. Generally speaking, when you are shooting RAW on any camera, it does afford you some legroom because you can get more details in the shadows and you can preserve the highlights a little bit more. And the file size is very, very different. For example, here's the file size from RAW photos in the Sony ZV-1. Now, if you look at the GoPro RAW file size, you're not going to be able to do an awful lot with it. However, that's not to say the GoPro Hero 9 Black takes bad photos. Check these out, and then we're going to take a look at a side-by-side comparison of the GoPro Hero 9 versus the iPhone 11 Pro, and I think the results are going to be very surprising. This is a real clever spot to shoot a photo in. Yeah. If you see this, I survived. The iPhone is absolutely capable of pulling in more dynamic range. You can see it here quite easily when it comes to the iPhone photo versus the GoPro equivalent. And of course, the other thing is you can't get any depth of field with the GoPro because it's got a fixed lens. In fact, to get anything out of focus, you really have to be right in front of it, like we're talking millimeters away from the object that you're trying to photograph. And of course, with the iPhone, you do have that portrait mode, which does a pretty good job of blurring out the background if you want some bokeh or background blur or whatever you want to call it. From the color perspective, the GoPro Hero 9 Black and the iPhone 11 Pro are pretty decent. The GoPro does have a habit of saturating the colors a bit more, so they might look a little bit vibrant, but you just, there can be a little bit of an assault on the senses. However, when you do grade either the iPhone 11 Pro or the GoPro Hero 9 photos, there's not a lot to tell the difference between the two. Check these out. Do you know which one is the iPhone? Do you know which one is the GoPro? Let me a comment below. There are a few things to think about when it comes to the GoPro Hero 9 Black for photography. Number one, you've got this kind of very cool lens. It's a decent lens, and you've got the whole GoPro super wide lens lens option, and then you can go right down to narrow. You also have some flexibility in the photos that you take, and again, you have RAW, as limited as it might be, right up to Superphoto. The biggest kind of deal breaker for most people, including myself, is the lens. It's that fixed aperture 2.8. So if you are looking to get stuff out of focus in a shallow depth of field, you're not going to really do it with this camera. So for me, I'm probably going to stick with my Sony ZV-1 or the iPhone 11 Pro for taking photos. But that's just me, right? It mightn't be you. And for most people, the difference between the GoPro Hero 9 and the iPhone 11 Pro, the photos, and if you're looking at stuff on social media, maybe you're using these for Instagram, the difference is negligible. Let's be honest, you're probably not going to use a GoPro Hero 9 Black to shoot a billboard. But this is a decent camera, and compared to something like the iPhone 11 Pro or the new iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro, this is very, very affordable. But the camera, no matter if it's something like the GoPro 9, your phone, a mirrorless camera, it really doesn't matter. All of these are only as good as your eyes and your idea, more importantly. Speaking of ideas, it would be a good idea if you check this video out right up here if you want to get some of the best settings for the GoPro Hero 9 Black. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, don't stop fighting for yourself. Okay, so the one time I'm close to the lens, I nearly break it with my Superman fist.